Hey everybody, it's Tim from Tadabase here, and today I'm super excited to finally be able to share some of what we've been working on behind the scenes lately. What we're calling Tadabase DataBridge is our answer for working with external data that lives outside of Tadabase, whether it's QuickBooks or Zendesk or Shopify or WooCommerce or ClickUp or Airtable, it doesn't matter. We are building integrations to allow you to expand your application to communicating with external data. Now, this is going to be a massive feature update that is deeply ingrained and deeply integrated into many existing features and systems within Tadabase itself. So you can still keep Tadabase as your central source of truth, but now you can bring in external data. You can do lots of awesome things thanks to this new data bridge feature. All right, so we've talked about this thing for a couple weeks now. I've talked about this for a couple minutes now. Enough is enough. Let's jump into the builder and take a look at what we got. Now, please keep in mind that everything we're seeing here today is subject to change as we are still in active development of this feature. But what we're going to do today is we're going to show you how you can use ClickUp as an external data source, and we can bring in data and we can use that external data to bring in more external data. And eventually we can bring some of that external data into the Tadabase application. So to get started, we're going to install ClickUp as an external data source. And once we are installed, all we need to do is just paste in our API key for the ClickUp API. I can click save, and now our external data source is loaded. Jumping over to the page builder, we are going to get started by adding a new source data component. Now, this component allows us to communicate with those external data sources that we previously set up. And in this case, I'm going to choose to display all of the lists within my ClickUp workspace. First, I have to fill out some ClickUp requirements so that we know what we're actually supposed to populate. So I need to select my workspace. I need to select my space. I need to select a folder. And now finally, it's going to show me all of the lists. So I can simply stop here, update and save and preview this page. And you're going to see that's going to load all of my ClickUp lists dynamically and 100% externally. So nothing here on this page is currently loading as Tadabase data. It's all pulling directly from ClickUp's API. Now there's a ton of stuff that we can do inside of this actual component, such as actions, transformations, different options that we have to enable or disable and configure. But for now, I'm going to try to keep it as simple as possible. And I'm simply going to show you how we can use a new action called search another component in order to pass data from one external data component to another external data component. To do that, I'm going to add another component on this page. I'm going to choose source data again, and I'm going to run through that same setup as I did before, except this time I'm going to show tasks. Now, the idea here is that back on the page side of my application, I want to be able to pass an list ID from the lists that are displaying in this component into the component below it in order to display all of the tasks for that particular list. Now, the way this looks right now, you can see we have one task that from ClickUp that's being displayed here, and that is the one task that belongs to this particular list. Now, I can add a button to these components that will pass an ID from one component to another in order to dynamically load a whole new set of data on the fly. We'll jump back to the page builder here, and we're going to go to our ClickUp lists component here. I'm going to choose our new action from our actions menu called search another component. From here, I'm going to select a component on the page. I'm going to select the field that I wish to essentially populate or search by, and then the value in which we are searching. Now, for ClickUp specifically, in order to list out a bunch of tasks, we need to include a list ID. And just like that, I can update and save, refresh my page, and I have a button that will then load a whole new set of tasks based on this list ID. Now we can take this one step further. We can do this as many times as we want on the page, which is something that is incredibly cool. So now, as far as this hierarchy is concerned, first I can view the lists, then I can click to view the tasks within that list. And now I can add another button here that's going to allow me to add a component to view the task details. So once again, I will add that source data component to the page, except this time I will choose details. And we have some specific data sets here that are purpose built for detail stuff. And I'm going to choose task detail and again, walk through this whole process. Once I've added my third component to the page, we can simply go back into our task component, choose that same action of searching another component, We'll select task details, and this time we're going to pass the task ID in order to populate that detail component. Now we can cascade all the way from the parent level object in ClickUp, which is a list. We can then select a particular task that we want to view more details about. And you're going to see that this at the bottom is going to change. And last but not least, we're going to go into our task detail component here, and we're going to add an insert database record. So I just wanted to quickly show you how we can still communicate with the database application and pass data back and forth. Now, what I'm going to do is that once I've actually gotten to this task detail, I'm going to then essentially import it into the database application. So we'll select insert a new record, select our tasks table that we've created, and then we can set the task name to a source value of the name. We can then select the task ID field and select a source value of the ID. And just to show you how that is looking when it works is we will add a table component to the page of tasks and be good to go. So we will save this, preview the page, go back through this whole thing where we want to view an external list from ClickUp, load all of the tasks from that list, choose a particular task we want to see more details about, and then click an action link to insert a new record into a database data table. And this is one workflow out of so many that you'll be able to do and more with the new DataBridge feature. There's a ton of features that I haven't talked about today that either aren't completed yet or simply am kind of saving them as a surprise. But there's so much more to discuss, so please stay tuned and watch for more updates on this feature in weeks to come. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.